This is my son, Jake Patterson. He is 12 years old. And they took his father. He will grow up fatherless. He has to live even after this. And I have to pray that God give me strength to raise him the best of my ability. His heart is broken. He has sleeps. He has eats. And as a mother, what am I supposed to do to help him get through this?
Tirzah Patterson, the ex-wife of one of the 10 people killed last Saturday in the Buffalo Tops supermarket, spoke yesterday about the grief she and her son feel at the loss of Haywood Patterson, her son's father. Patterson was a deacon at a church near the supermarket. He was helping someone with their groceries that day when he was shot and killed. The suspect, who is believed to have posted about his white supremacist beliefs online, is said to have targeted that particular community because it was primarily black. He apparently searched by zip code for the place with the largest black population near where he lived. That is how he found Tops. Today, almost a week later, Deacon Haywood Patterson was laid to rest in a private service, the first of 10 funerals to come from this mass shooting. As the families and the nation remember and honor the lives of those massacred last week, those same families are trying to process what happened to their loved ones, what happened to them, and what happened to their community. Children like Jake Patterson, who maybe have lost their relatives too, or who, after watching what happened in Buffalo, live with the nightmare that this could one day happen to their families too, that this could be them. They are trying to process what happened. But in several states across the country, it is getting increasingly harder for kids to process this grief, because teachers are being told that there is no space for them to lay out the actual events of that day, that it is against the law. This week, NBC journalist Mike Hicksonbaugh reported, quote, laws restricting lessons on racism are making it hard for teachers to discuss the massacre in Buffalo. One high school ethnic studies teacher in Austin said that 2 days after the shooting at the Tops grocery store, she had to remind her students that a new Texas law requires teachers to discuss, quote, widely debated and currently controversial issues with a balanced perspective, not showing deference to any side. That meant that on Monday, before any of the victims of the shooting were even laid to rest, she had to tell her students that while police were investigating the shooting as a racially motivated hate crime committed by a man who believed in white replacement theory, quote, I'm also supposed to tell you that that's just one perspective. She continued, quote, another perspective is that this young man was out defending the world or his kind from being taken over. She followed with this, quote, if you guys want to know why I'm thinking about quitting at the end of the year, it's because of these types of policies. The fact that I have to have this conversation with you. That teacher's frustration with this state-mandated restriction on teaching the truth about tragedies like this was palpable, and she's not alone. In the past year, there have been a riptide of state laws and school board policies restricting classroom discussions about race, sex, and gender. According to a high school social studies teacher in Colorado, quote, if a student brings up Buffalo, the teacher will simply say, sorry, I can't talk about that, or we're not allowed to talk about that. He notes that teachers have been fired for discussing racism, sexuality, and politics with students. So they are afraid to have these discussions as these restrictions spread across the country. The primary sponsor of a Kentucky law that restricts discussions of race in classrooms said this on the matter, quote, our educational system, I believe, should be teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic and factual history and stay out of politics. But like it or not, what happened on Saturday is part of American history. And what sort of lessons do silence or alternate takes teach? The sorts of lessons you can read on 4chan or Discord? As that Austin, Texas teacher put it, quote, if we're not able to have these discussions, how else are students going to envision a better future? An important question.